This week turned out wild. A bunch of games suddenly opened up for everyone. New releases popped up out of nowhere, and there are some huge surprises you definitely don't want to miss. If you like discovering new games to play with friends or finding something fresh without digging through endless lists, this one's for you. Starting with the Middle-earth, the Shadow Bundle 90% off. This is easily one of the strongest fantasy bundles on Steam right now because it gives you both Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, plus an additional DLC for each game. Shadow of Mordor still has one of the best nemesis systems ever made, where enemies remember you, adapt, evolve, and come back stronger. Shadow of War takes that idea and makes everything bigger, huge fort assaults, brutal combat, and a world that constantly reacts to your actions. Getting two massive open world games plus DLC for the price of almost nothing is just insane value. If you like dark fantasy or the Lord of the Rings universe, this is a bundle you shouldn't skip. Next, the Lego The Lord of the Rings plus the Hobbit bundle 80% off. This bundle is pure comfort gaming, classic Lego humor, cozy exploration, and a surprisingly fun retelling of the Hobbit and Lothar stories. These games are perfect if you want something relaxing, family friendly, or just a break from dark and serious titles. And with the whole bundle sitting at 80% off, it's honestly one of the best Lego deals available on Steam right now. Up next is the Divinity Franchise sale with multiple titles at 90% off. The Divinity series has a huge legacy behind it, and right now 3 major titles are basically selling for pocket change. Divinity 2 Developer's Cut 90% off, a classic RPG with deep quests, big choices, and even a dragon transformation mechanic. It's old school in the best possible way. Divinity Dragon Commander 90% off, a completely unique mix of RTS, politics, and aerial dragon combat. There is literally nothing else like this game on the market. Divinity Anthology 90% off, a massive collection including early games in the series, great for anyone who wants to see how Larian Studios evolved over time. If you enjoy RPGs, these are extremely cheap right now and absolutely worth having in your library. Next, let's talk about the Doom franchise with massive discounts across the board. The standout here is Doom, the Dark Ages 67% off. This is the newest entry and it takes the series in a darker, heavier, medieval-inspired direction. Brutal gameplay, huge weapons, and a completely different vibe compared to the futuristic originals, but the real steal is the Doom Anthology Bundle 73% off. This pack includes 6 Doom games covering classic shooters, modern reboots, and everything in between. It's one of the best bundles for FPS fans, and at this price it's basically a must-buy. And now Murdered Soul Suspect 90% off, a supernatural detective adventure where you investigate your own murder. It's short, atmospheric, and very story-driven, perfect for 1 or 2 evenings. The game has a unique vibe and an interesting mystery, and with a 90% discount, it's an easy recommendation if you enjoy narrative games. Next up is Tales of Zestiria 90% off, a big classic JRPG with a long story, memorable characters, exploration, dungeons, and a massive world inspired by medieval fantasy. It's exactly the kind of game you sink dozens of hours into, cozy, emotional, and full of charm. And right now, for 90% off, it's one of the cheapest long-form RPG experiences you can buy on Steam. If you enjoy anime-style adventures, this is a great pickup. Next, we have Syberia 3 90% off. The Syberia series is legendary for its atmosphere, and this third entry continues Kate Walker's journey with a completely new world, characters, and puzzles. It's slower paced, emotional, and very artistic, more like an interactive movie than a typical adventure game. At 90% off, it's a great option if you love narrative-driven exploration with a unique visual style. Up next, The Beast Inside 90% off, one of the most underrated horror games on Steam. It mixes 2 timelines, psychological tension and first-person survival horror with high-quality visuals. The game constantly shifts between calm exploration and intense heart-pounding moments, and with a huge 90% discount, this is a must-buy for horror fans on a budget. Next is Asterix and Obelix XXL 290% off, a colorful, funny, nostalgic beat-em-up based on the classic cartoon. It's simple, fast-paced, and perfect if you want something lighthearted after heavier games. Lots of enemies, lots of slapstick humor, and surprisingly fun level design. And at 90% off, it's basically cheaper than a mobile game. And next, Monster Energy Supercross 5 90% off. If you enjoy motorcycle racing, jumps, and technical tracks, this one delivers exactly that. It's not a casual racer, you actually need to learn how to control your bike, land properly, and handle corners. With a 90% discount, it's a great deal for anyone who enjoys racing games with a more realistic realistic feel. Next up is MXGP Pro 90% off, a realistic motocross simulator with very technical bike handling, deep physics, and tracks that punish every mistake. This isn't an arcade racer, it's all about mastering corners, jumps, and timing. If you want something challenging and satisfying, MXGP Pro delivers a full racing experience, and with a 90% discount, it's a great time to pick it up. Next, we have the First Tree 90% off, a short, atmospheric, emotional adventure where you play as a fox searching for her family. No combat, no stress, just beautiful landscapes, relaxing music, and a quiet story about loss, memory, and hope. It takes about 1 to 2 hours to finish, and at 90% off, it's one of the best small narrative experiences you can grab right now. And next is Shing 95% off, a fast-paced side-scrolling beat-em-up with stylish combat, combos, and smooth animations. You can play solo or in co-op, switching between characters on the fly. It's flashy, quick, and fun, and with a massive 95% discount, this is essentially a no-brainer if you like action games. Up next, Liberated 90% off, a very unique story-driven action game presented like a playable graphic novel. Black and white comic panels, dystopian setting, shooting, stealth, and a dark, grounded narrative. It's artistic, stylish, and stands out immediately, and with a 90% discount, it's absolutely worth adding to your library if you enjoy something different. Next is Tell Some Story, first 90% off, a small but very cozy narrative adventure where you explore, interact with the environment, and uncover a simple but sweet story. It's relaxing, light, and perfect for players who want something warm and low pressure. With a 90% discount, it's extremely cheap and a nice addition if you enjoy short atmospheric games. Although I already mentioned these games in a previous video, they're still going for great prices, so I want to remind you about them once again. Way of the Hunter 90% off, a realistic hunting simulator with huge open maps, animal behavior that actually feels natural, and a big focus on patience and strategy. This isn't an arcade shooter, so you track, observe, and plan every shot. If you enjoy quiet exploration and long distance shooting, this 90% discount makes it one of the best deals in its genre. Next, Star Wars Battlefront 290% off, one of the best Star Wars multiplayer experiences ever made. Massive battles, heroes and villains from across the saga, space fights, co-op modes, and tons of iconic locations. The game had a rough launch years ago, but today it's full of content and feels absolutely fantastic, and at 90% off, it's definitely worth adding to your library. Up next is Expeditions Rome 90% off, a deep tactical RPG where every decision has political, personal, and military consequences. Turn-based battles, great writing, historical atmosphere, and a campaign that actually reacts to your choices. If you love strategy and story-driven RPGs, this is one of the strongest titles you can grab right now, especially at a huge 90% discount. Next, we have A Way Out 90% off, a fully co-op story adventure built around teamwork and split-screen storytelling. 2 prisoners, 1 escape plan, and a journey that keeps surprising you with new gameplay moments. It's emotional, creative, and unforgettable. And with a 90% discount, there's no reason not to grab it if you have someone to play with. And next is Immortals of Aveum 93% off, a fast-paced single-player shooter, except instead of guns you use magic, huge spells, flashy combat, beautiful environments, and a surprisingly solid story. At 93% off, this is one of the biggest discounts in the entire sale, making it an extremely cheap first-person campaign to enjoy. Next up, Green Hell 90% off, a brutal survival game set in the Amazon rainforest. You craft, hunt, treat wounds, fight diseases, and try not to die every 10 minutes. It's punishing, realistic, and perfect for players who love hardcore survival, and with a 90% discount, it's honestly a great pickup. Finally, we have Isonzo 80% off, a tactical World War I shooter with big battles, realistic weapons, and a strong focus on teamwork. Combat is slower, more methodical, and rewards good positioning over rushing. At 80% off, it's a fantastic deal if you want a fresh alternative to modern shooters. And by the way, you can still jump into Fallout 76. With your friends, the game is open for everyone to try until the evening of February 5th. Same thing with Sker Ritual, it's also available for anyone to play until February 5th. So if you ever wanted to check out these games, now's the perfect moment, because the access won't stay open for long. Thanks so much for watching, and thank you for subscribing to the channel. We just hit 5,000 subscribers, and I appreciate every single one of you. Don't forget to drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and tell me in the comments which of these games you're planning to try out. And if you want more games like this, check out my other videos. You might find something you'll love. Thanks again for the support, and I'll see you in the next one.